Creation of an experimental model of an ion engine. When moving in outer space, it is necessary to cover huge distances. Various spaceships are used for this purpose. At the same time, the main problem is their engines and the power supply of these engines. As in open space, it is impossible to supply fuel, such as chemicals, in the case of rocket chemical engines, to these ships. Thus, the most modern types of engines are ion and ion plasma engines. In our work, we tried to make a model of an ion engine independently and, under different conditions, check the features of its operation. Create an experimental model, we decided first to develop a general schematic representation of the entire structure. To conduct experiments with an ion engine, it is necessary to create a system that ensures smooth voltage regulation and control. To provide such regulation, we used a variable transformer which regulates the voltage. As a basis for the power circuit, we used a push-pull oscillator represented in the picture. Since the ion engine is designed to work in space, we were required to recreate a similar atmosphere of reduced pressure, typically known as a vacuum chamber. We selected a sealed aquarium to create a vacuum chamber that could facilitate our engine and enable visual confirmation of our experiments. Further modification with tubes and silicone was required to make the aquarium airtight. These modifications enabled the use of a modified pump we built which removed air from the chamber, creating an environment not unlike the space where such an engine would be employed. When we analyzed the existing available research, we found many resources regarding the types and variants of ion engine designs. From this available research, we based the development of our engine design and then assembled the model. We used two electrode grids and a cathode in the form of a needle as an electrostatic ion accelerator. The maximum potential difference between the anode and cathode is 5 kV. We used two ring neodymium magnets to form a directed beam of ions, one larger, the other smaller. The magnets are arranged to alternate poles. After the system was perfected and working as designed, we started our experimentation and documented the results. First, we used paper in the aquarium a short distance from the ion engine to test the thrust output. We checked the possibility of the engine working at atmospheric pressure by placing the engine in the aquarium prior to pumping out the air and creating a vacuum chamber. From the photo, you can observe that at atmospheric pressure, the engine cannot perform. This was confirmed by the absence of any paper movement inside the chamber. Our next study was to work on partial air pumping, creating various conditions. To observe this experiment, all research was conducted in a dark environment. We pumped air out of the aquarium for 10 minutes before applying voltage to the power supply circuit for the initial tests. At first, it seemed that the ion engine was not functioning. We then installed a long exposure camera to test our hypothesis further. What we were able to observe with this camera was that the ion engine did in fact perform. However, the strength of the ion flux was negligible. For further study, we determined that more air needed to be removed from the chamber, creating a more space-like environment. For this study, the air was pumped out of the aquarium for 20 minutes to obtain the lowest possible pressure of our pump could create. We determined the lowest pressure with the help of the pump's power indicators. We decided to stop pumping air once the current values began to increase rapidly. In conclusion, we found that such engines are extremely efficient and can solve the problem of moving large objects in space with limited fuel or weight requirements. This has enormous potential to save satellites that need to be repositioned to be of any further use, potentially saving millions of dollars, saving a satellite with very small but efficient and powerful ion engines. Thanks for watching.